Hi, Roger. Congrats for your win today. Do you feel this was an ideal start for you in this tournament, or do you think there are still many places higher for you to go?
In terms of the level, I mean, I think we're all going to start playing better every round that goes by. You know, it's just still early days in the tournament. Can't expect to play your best against the best players in the world in that first match. So I think, like I explained on the court in the interview, it was more about managing the match rather than actually having a certain way how you play and what were you really thinking about. I'm sure I had a tactical plan with my team, but very often in a first match like this, you get thrown overboard because at the end you're just happy to be serving well, focus on that first, and then on the return game, sort of try your best, try to keep the ball in play and go from there. So I think that's the difficulty in a first round. Usually at any tournament, here it's amplified because it's against a fellow top 10 player, and it just makes things really, really difficult sometimes.
Hi Roger, congratulations. No. After the final in Basel, you said you felt your body was asking you for a break. So are you happy with the way you recovered these 2 weeks? How do you feel?
Yeah, took me a long time to recover, really, to be honest. I had a very slow week, the Paris week, but then also other than the charity match, the Andy Murray live match in Scotland, I also didn't do that much. The last sort of Thursday, Friday, also especially Friday, Saturday, sorry, were my more intense days. Other than that, I didn't do much. So I'm happy that I was able to come out today and had actually good energy. And this is the best I've felt since the Del Potro finals. So I'm very happy to see that I didn't have to pay the price for taking it easy, you know, resting, recovering, but then turning it up the last few days got me in shape for today. And now I think I'm in the tournament, and now there's no more turning back, and just, you know, full steam ahead every match that comes.
You've seen pretty much everything in your career, but how many times did an opponent turn around to sort of present his backside to you as you're running into the net? And how much of a distraction was that?
It was a big distraction, I'll tell you that, because it was very big. And that's what I should have aimed for. That target was bigger than the down the line corridor that I had. It's happened sometimes in the past, but not on a big stage like this.
Okay. The usual question whenever we start this tournament: what did you think about the playing conditions, and also what happened to that kilt?
So playing conditions, from what I was told, they changed the speed last year a little bit. I do feel it's a bit faster than in previous years. Don't think it's a bad thing, because we did see some very one-sided matches in the past. Don't know what the reason was, if it just was a fluke that it happened to be that way, or actually just that the better baseliner just really outplayed the other. So I think by having a faster court like we saw today, maybe I also was the better player on the day today, but missed some opportunities, some crucial moments on the break points, ended up paying the price for it going into a breaker. You don't know what's going to happen, so I think it's going to keep the results closer to one another. It's going to be tougher to break, because I do believe if you protect your serve well here, you're in good shape, you know, so you can free swing maybe better on the return. The kilt, we're not in Scotland anymore, so the kilt gets put in the closet, you know, really, for the time being.
Speaking of the kilt wearing, Roger,
yeah.
Didn't get a chance to ask you after Tuesday, because I think you sped off to come back, but just wondering what your sort of considered impression, having sort of been at the opposite end of the court from Andy, how you thought he was, and you know how he was, the power and the pace and whatever, and his movement.
Well, first it was a great feeling to be on a court again with him. I've missed him. Like I said at the press conference there, it was a great experience in Glasgow. Do something good for other people and other charities. Was a legend of the game. I love teaming up, you know. I think we could do more of it. It's just always tough to have those exhibitions, you know, organized, and where do you place them in the calendar year, because there's tournaments from January to November. It's just always packed. So that was a nice thing to do. In terms of Andy, I thought, considering that he has been totally out of the spotlight, I think in some ways it was a brave move for him to just put himself out there and give it a go, because nobody really knew how he was doing. It would have been easy for him to just say, well, you know what, I'll have somebody else play, tickets are sold out, Roger's coming, I can make somebody else play Roger maybe, and it'd still be maybe a successful story. But I think the fans were really excited to see Andy play. He got great crowd support, which I was really happy to see. Sort of in my rival's home country, to see him getting this much support was beautiful. I was actually happy how he was playing, you know. There's definitely, you know, he can move better, he can serve better, we know all these things, but for a start, I think it was actually quite encouraging and actually okay. He still got a lot of time before Australia comes around, but only he knows at what level he wants to return to competition. But I thought he was actually pretty good. I didn't expect him to be this good yet.
Roger, when you decided not to play Paris, you took yourself out of contention for the year-end #1 ranking. Rafa just got that trophy today. Is there a small part of you wish it was still on the line here and you would be able to fight for it? And just how did you get to the decision to not use it as a factor?
No, I was happy. I was supposed to do the Sky interview afterwards, and they wanted me to talk about the tactical element of the match. And the Rafa trophy presentation was going on, and they said, is it okay to wait? I was like, well, yeah, I better wait, because this is like a big deal. This is a huge thing. We were both, or all the players were playing for, is maybe world #1, and he was better throughout the year. He played more tournaments. He was incredibly successful throughout. So no, I don't have any regrets, because I feel like in my stage of my competition and my age, either he comes to me or he doesn't. And he had more, you know, gas left in the tank than I did. I couldn't play as much as I've wanted, or I overplayed anyway. So my only regret was I would have loved to be in contention, you know, through the Montreal finals, Cincinnati, US Open. But things evaporated very quickly after he won the US Open, and that's when he made his final push. It was in Asia, and that was it for me, really. So in some ways, I'm happy he clinched it, because he deserves it. And like this, I can focus on playing the tournament and not having to talk about that at the same time. But sure, I would have loved to be it, but you can't be it with that many tournaments, so it's no problem for me.
Roger, Rafa said here the other day that one of the reasons he thinks why he's never won this title is because it's never been played on clay. Do you think it would be fair if, you know, maybe just for 1 year this tournament was played on clay?
Fair, I'm not sure if it's the right word, but I think it's right and fair that it's indoors as well. There is no Masters 1000s on grass. There is one Masters 1000s indoors, Paris. So I feel like indoors also deserves its place, you know. But could it be switched up to a clay once in a while? Yeah, maybe. Could we have more 1000s on grass? Yeah, I mean, we could have that too. Could we have less on clay or more on hardcourt, or less on hardcourts and more on clay? Yes, it's all debatable. So I think it's not the time of the year for clay. So there you have it. You can do indoor clay, I guess, but that's a bit silly. But I get his point, and it's a fair point.
Roger, over here.
Yeah.
Several of the guys that are playing with you here this week were also involved in the Laver Cup, which, you know, it was a great atmosphere. You obviously all bonded really well. Have you felt that mood has carried over here, like in the Players' Lounge, or have you picked up any special insights from the Laver Cup week that have carried into this tournament?
Well, at the Play Restaurant, I was the only guy who was Jack today, because the other guys were practicing at other times. But I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, I do feel like the Laver Cup has made us get to know each other a bit better. I mean, we have each other's telephone numbers now, all of us. So that wasn't a case beforehand. We anyway knew we see each other, you know, all the time. So it's nice to kind of be able to connect if you wanted to with the guys. I felt like at the ATP, ceremony and the official presentation, I did feel a sort of camaraderie and cool rivalry, but yet friendship going on, which I think is nice to see. All together on the boat, we're all hanging out, all talking to each other. I'm not sure if that was always the case in previous years. Not that we didn't get along, but we just didn't know each other that well, to be quite frank. So I see good things being carried over by the Laver Cup without ever forgetting that at the end of the day we are rivals as well,
Can you say a few words about Severin? What makes this relationship so special? And does he get the tribute that he deserves publicly? Because he's never, I think, won an award like Coach of the Year or something.
Well, it's only been for 2 years that we have that award. But I do believe he doesn't get the credit he deserves because he doesn't speak to you guys or the press very often. He didn't want to do it for years. He doesn't want to polish up his reputation. He's there to trying to help me as much as possible, and he's a great friend, especially great coach for me. Otherwise, he wouldn't be on the team. If he was just a friend, I think he would do work, But as a coach, he's really valuable, to me. He knows my game very well. He knows my practice sessions very well. He knows what I need to work on. He knows what makes me happy and sad. He knows my team members very well. So he's crucial to the team. But I do believe that he doesn't get the credit he deserves. Yes.